Testing 1, 2. Dad's name. Let's see.
I was rummaging through some stuff.
Eddie.
I was rummaging through some stuff today.
Test, test. Test, test.
Okay.
Introduce myself. Oh, okay.
Good Shabbos, everyone. Yeah, nice turnout this evening for a holiday weekend. I'd like to welcome all of you to Shabbat services this evening. My name is Pam Poster. I am your corporate secretary. That means I get to take the minutes at our board meetings, which is oodles of excitement. Speaking of excitement, I have some wonderful events that I'd like to share with you this evening before we officially begin. This Sunday is our very special L'Ador V'Dor, Our Children, Our Future Gala to celebrate and support our religious school and preschool programs here at CNT. We need your support. We'd love you to come and be part of the community. There will be a champagne brunch. Did I mention the champagne? An art walk, a silent auction. Tickets are only $36. You can go to the temple website to purchase them, or you can buy them at the door. Did I mention there would be champagne? There will be champagne. That's this Sunday starting at 9:30. So drop your kids off for religious school and stay. There will be champagne. Tuesday evening is Veterans Day, and in honor of our veterans, CNT will be sponsoring and hosting a very special concert featuring our own Desert Winds Wind Ensemble. Is anybody here a member of the Desert Winds? Jay Poster is a member of the Desert Winds. How about that? The concert begins at 7:30 in the evening. It is a free event. We'd love, I'm sorry? It's free. There will not be champagne, but it is free. 7:30 Tuesday evening. Please come. It would be really lovely to have a nice family feel here. We're expecting quite a crowd, and it would be nice to have a lot of CNTers there. Tickets are free. No champagne, but tickets are free. And I'll be at the front door taking tickets. How do you get them? You can go online to get them. And if you wish, you may make a donation at that time, which will be in support of the Jewish war veterans. But the tickets for the concert itself are free. And there will be champagne on Sunday morning. Next Friday, you're a good audience. I'll be here all week. Next Friday, November 14th, is a Shabbaton service. Is there anybody here this evening who is part of the Shabbatons? Anybody here part of the Shabbatons? Jay Poster is part of the Shabbatons. Do you do everything? You do everything. Shabbaton service next Friday, the 14th. Services begin at 7 o'clock. It will also be our special anniversary Shabbat to honor those of you who are celebrating November wedding anniversaries. And the following weekend, November 21st, that Shabbat is a very special consecration Shabbat service honoring our new students in our religious school, especially our kindergarten and first graders. It is also a special Shabbat in honor of all of our grandparents. Services will begin at 6:15 that evening, followed by Shabbat B'Yachad dinner. No champagne, but there will be lots and lots of happy stuff that night with the little ones. Sisterhood's annual holiday bazaar is coming up Sunday, November 23rd. During religious school hours. Come and get all sorts of wonderful Hanukkah goodies. And please visit the temple website for more information on any of these events. Shabbat Shalom.
The words are yai die die. Oh, Rabbi wants it one more time. Sorry, Ricky.
You know, this is one of my favorite niguns, but we're missing something.
Yeah.
Well, two things. One is a little clapping, and the other is all of you. So can we do it one more time? A little bit of enthusiasm is one of my favorite nigunim. Let's give it a try. Hopefully it'll be a Shabbos standard.
It
Here we
doesn't
go.
feel like Karl Bach wrote it unless you're singing along. That was better. I like that. Shiru Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru Adonai shir chadash. Shiru Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru, shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Sing unto God, all the earth, a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God, and we'll all sing along. All the earth, a new song unto God. Shiru Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru Adonai shir chadash. I will sing unto God a new song.
This weekend is filled with lots of simchas. On Sunday night, we will welcome Olympia. She becomes a bride, and she will be married to Steve Lazar. So we'd like to invite Olympia to come forward. along with her daughters Alexandra and Sophia, to kindle the Shabbat lights. And also tomorrow, Aiden, who's also going to assist us in services tonight, he's our bar mitzvah tomorrow. We'd like to invite his mother, Randy, to join them as well. Page 120, 121.
One.
אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של שבת. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו
Page 142. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitkhem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divrach Yerutei v'yamelich malchutei, B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, Bagala, Bagala, u'v'zman kariv, v'yimeru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevarach, le'alam u'lalmei amaya, yitbarach, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh, v'yithalal, Shemei dekodesha brichu, le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'oma v'yimeru. Amen.
Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time. Even at unlikely times and through unlikely places, there is no place on earth without the presence. We remain standing for Borchu. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? For this is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over?
Baruch atah Adonai, Hamariv Aravim.
Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol, all these things your Torah gives to us, and the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of yours abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form?
We continue 6 lines up from the bottom on page 150. Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem negeomam v'layla. Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem negeomam v'layla. Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem negeomam v'layla. Al tasir mimenu leolamim, Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Israel.
Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever. Please be seated. Ve'yafta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu hadavarim ha'ele asher anohim metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'nishentam levanecha v'dibartam bam b'shevtiha b'veiteha uvleteha v'adere ufshah beha uvukumeha ukshartam leod al yadecha v'hayu litotafot b'neinecha uftavtam al mezuzot beiteha uvisharecha L'man tizkeru v'hasitem et kol mitzvotai yerem kiroshim l'leihem ani Adonai Elohim asher hotehi etzem meretz Mitzrayim leot lahem l'Elohim ani Adonai Elohim
Adonai Elohechem emet.
We read together on 157. Together, standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
Mi chamocha bailim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar bakodesh, nora teilot o sefele, nora teilot o sefele, malechutecha rahovanecha bokeyayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam zeiri anu ve'ameru Adonai imloch leolam va'ed Adonai imloch leolam va'ed Adonai imloch leolam va'ed.
161 together. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. Ve'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Keep us safe from harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. 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 ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקוראי עונג שבת. מקדשי שבי שבת, כולם ישבעו ויתענגו מטובך השבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקוראי עונג שבת. והשביעי רצית בו וקידשתו שבת, חמדת ימים אותו קראת שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקוראי עונג שבת. זכר למעשה בראשית שבת, זכר למעשה בראשית שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקוראי עונג שבת.
The tefillah is found on page 164, 165. As we rise, pray as if everything depended upon God. act as if everything depended upon you.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agit tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah El HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomer Chasavim Tovim V'Honei HaKol V'Soer Zasdei Avot V'Imaot Ufegi Geula Livnei V'neihem Ma'al Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayeh HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem Mechalkel Chayim B'Chesed Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim Samech Noflim Verofei Olim U'Matir Asurim U'Mechayim Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot U'Mido Melach Melech Memit U'Mechayim U'Masmiach Yeshua Ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh hakol Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kadoshim bechol yom yahalelucha selah Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
We continue praying quietly at our own individual pace through page 181. As you conclude your reading at that time, be seated.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
371 is our Misha B'Arach prayer. It's a time in our service when we think of friends, family, people we meet who we realize are in need of our prayers for support. You say to them, "How are you?" And once in a while, they give you honesty. And the news is not what you might think. "How are you?" "Fine." But then people aren't fine. And we get that unexpected news of what they're really going through. And so we say Misha B'Arach to let them know that the community is there thinking of them and bringing them support. And there are people here in our community who every day are ministering to others who are sick. We ask that God be with them as well, to embolden them with patience and hope and an unabiding sense of love for those that they care for. If you would like to say the names of people special to you, please simply stand, say their names, as many names as you would like, to be included in our community's Misha B'Arach. Now we as a community, we stand together in solidarity. So we join together, Misha B'Arach.
Misha B'Arach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us Shema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Well, on Sunday, we are going to have a very special wedding. Olympia, you and Steve are going to come together as husband and wife, so I want to invite the two of you to come forward, if you would. Well, I'm sorry. You want me to save it? Olympia, here we go. We had a mom crisis. Okay. You got to realize I can't see a thing from up here. The lights are blinding. So, Olympia, why don't you and Steve come on up? And now we'll have the congregation rise once more. It's a special thing to come together as husband and wife. It's a cause of celebration and of joy. And so you declare your love not only to each other, but you do so in front of community. Your children, your friends, your family. And you do it on your wedding ceremony, when you stand beneath the chuppah. But the two of you asked, as is traditional, to come before the congregation on the Shabbat. It's a reinforcement of the values that will guide your lives as husband and wife. The fact that being Jewish and celebrating Judaism is very much a part of who you are. But it also gives you a chance to stand before the Torahs. And as you look upon those Torahs, I always like to think that the Torahs look upon us as well. We look at them and we hope to soak in the depth of knowledge. And they look at us and they say, can you hold us? Can you hold us very tight? For as you hold each other as husband and wife, in that fashion, you hold those Torahs and those values very tight as well. And so in the months and years that lie ahead, we wish you a world of happiness and joy. And we ask God's grace upon you now with these words.
Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha.
May the Lord God bless you and keep you.
Yair Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka.
May the Lord cause the light of his countenance to shine upon you, be gracious unto you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha ve'yasem lecha shalom.
May the Lord God grant you long life, happiness together, always. Amen. Well, I thought I would try something a little new tonight. Instead of a more formal sermon, I thought I would have a little bit of a study session. So you're now all my students. We're now in Beit Midrash, Axelrod. And the first thing I want to do is welcome a couple new students to our class. Happens to be the father of our cantor, Jeff, your wife, Susie, and Susie's brother, Lindsay. So we welcome you to class. We hope that you will come back frequently, and we will give you A+ every time you do. And of course, Elaine, who's a fixture at our temple. So you should have in your midst this yellow sheet of paper. Now, one of my goals is to put you a little bit into adult education and to studying Torah at an adult level. Even if you're a child, you can begin to study the Torah at a little bit more an adult level. Now tonight's going to be some stuff that you've never ever heard before, and that's why I'm doing it. Because what I found, and I talked about this a couple weeks ago when we did the Noah story, that most of what adults remember is the stuff that they learned when they were children in religious school, probably first and second and third grade, and then fast forward, and that's what they're clinging on to, and they wonder why the faith doesn't have more riches. Well, it's got a lot more. So I have to set the tone and tell you a few things that some of you probably know because you're part of our Shabbat morning study class, which takes place at 8:45 every Saturday morning, and I think our cantor is going to be the teacher tomorrow, and when she's not there or I'm not there, we have wonderful lay people who do it every Saturday morning. So some of what I'm going to tell you is I want you to understand how traditionally Jews would understand the Torah. That's what I want you to get from this. Traditionally, how we would understand the Torah. So the first thing you need to know is that the Torah is not the same thing as the Bible. And forgive me for some of you who know this because it's very basic, but I have found that for many people, they get very confused on things. They think the Torah is the same thing as the Old Testament. And then I say, but Jews don't say Old Testament. Old Testament implies there's a New Testament. For us, we say Tanakh. Can everyone say Tanakh? Tanakh is the Hebrew word for Bible. Torah, Nevi'im, Ketuvim. Torah, Nevi'im, Ketuvim. The T is Torah. Nevi'im is prophets, and Ketuvim is writings. Those are the three sections of the Bible. And whether you realize it or not, the Bible, in fact, is an anthology. It's not one book. It is a lot of books. And the Torah simply is the first 5 books. 5 books of Moses, 5 books of the Bible, the very first 5. And each week, as you know, we wind the Torah ahead and we read a parashah, a portion of the Torah. And there are actually 54 Torah portions in the year. And Jews throughout the world read essentially the same Torah portion. Now, in a more traditional synagogue, so they would read the entire portion. And in a conservative temple, they would read a third. It's on a triennial cycle. And in Reform synagogues, depending upon the synagogue, they'll go anywhere from a third to selected verses. But we move it ahead, and then at Simchas Torah, we start all over again. So that's the Torah. But whether you realize it or not, no branch of Judaism, Reform, Conservative, Orthodox, takes out the Torah and reads it literally. Very frequently, people will call me and say, I am studying about Judaism. I am reading the Bible. And if you read the Bible, you're really not going to learn very much about Judaism as a religion. You will learn about the ancient history of our people, but you really need to understand a lot more to understand that some of the verses of the Bible have been translated into the holidays that we observe today, which form the anchor of our faith and the values deduced from the Bible itself. For example, last week, we read the story of Abraham welcoming the angels who came to his tent, and the angels predicted that he'd have a son, Isaac. From that, we learned the principle of welcoming the stranger, and that's a value to Judaism right now. Well, there's a whole bunch more of riches in this week's Torah portion, and it's a very familiar one. And there's a lot that we could discuss, but I'm going to focus on one vignette that appears every high holidays. You've seen it, you've heard about it, but maybe you didn't quite understand it from the way I'm going to teach it tonight. It's called Akedat Yitzhak, which is the binding of Isaac. All right? So when you study Torah, the first thing you got to do is get a buddy. You're not allowed to study by yourself. you have to study in what's called the Chavruta system. So, you can have more than one person in your Chavrusa, but you can't study by yourself. So we're going to study as one big group, but the first thing is turn to your buddy, introduce yourselves if you don't. If you don't have a buddy, maybe your buddy's behind you or in front of you. And what I want you to do is take out your yellow sheet, and I want you to go through and just read it fairly quickly out loud to each other. I want you to look at the story. Some of you may find you want to read it quietly, but just read the story on the yellow sheet so we all know what we're dealing with. And as you read, I want you to think about things that are troubling in this story. What troubles you in this story? You don't have to say it out loud. All right, now this hour-long class has to be compressed into 10 minutes. So I'm going to go through highlights pretty darn quick, just to give you a taste of learning Torah. All right, whether you're done reading or not, why don't you focus up ahead. And I'm going to present to you a couple ideas as well. When you read the Torah, traditionally there was a system of interpreting the Torah called pardes. Everyone say pardes. Pardes sounds like what word in English? Paradise, right? Sounds like paradise. So Peshat is the simple meaning of the text, meaning when you read it, you look at it and you say, that's what it says. Remez is that there were things in the text that would hint at a deeper meaning. Drash, the D, is what rabbis do. It's kind of like a rabbinic interpretation of the text. And Sod is secret. That is Jewish mysticism. That's a very high level of understanding. You're not really allowed to go to the Sod until you've mastered the other three systems. So most of us will look at it, we'll read it, and every once in a while there'll be a question. Well, the rabbis read this over and over and over again, and when they would find something that spoke to them as a question, they would have to answer it. And that body of literature is called the Midrash. Can everyone say Midrash? So the Midrash was an oral interpretation. And before you say, is it true, is it real, that's over here. In traditional Jewish thought, when Moses went up to Mount Sinai, he received the written law and also the oral law. The Midrash, we might call it Jewish folklore, is considered part of the oral tradition. Eventually, the whole oral tradition, which is beyond Midrash, was written down and called the Talmud. Took a long time. All right, I know some of you are going, I didn't know I was coming to class tonight, but it's okay. You'll see if you like it, you'll come back to some other classes, and the rest of the year you get a regular sermon. So let's look at this. Sometime afterward, God put Abraham to the test. He said to him, Abraham, and he answered, here I am. And he said, take your son, your favored one, Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the heights which I will point to you. Now, if we had the full hour, I would draw out of you some questions. The first would be, sometime after what? The rabbis talk a lot about that. The next question would be, God says, take your son, your favored one, Isaac. And how many sons does he have? 2. He has 2 sons, Isaac and Ishmael. Ishmael is by his concubine Hagar, and that is where the Arab people are descended from. The Muslims are descended through Ishmael, and so they also have Abraham as their father, and we have Isaac. And then it continues on verse 3. So early the next morning, Abraham saddled his ass and took with him 2 of his servants and his son Isaac. So he rushed to do this mitzvah. The rabbis were deeply troubled by all of this and came up with a whole new interpretation. The first wasn't quite a test. It was not a test the way we think about it. When you look at this simple matter, does Abraham know what's going on? He knows he's supposed to sacrifice Isaac, right? Does Isaac know? No. In the Midrash, Isaac knows. Both of them know. How old is Isaac? A little boy. In the Midrash, Isaac is 37. And this is not just something that Abraham did readily. In the Midrash, he was very upset about the request. The fact that Abraham does this really early in the morning means that he rushed to do it and he was okay with it. In the Midrash, that's not what happened at all. He doesn't argue with God, but he's very upset. So look at this. So here was this, verse 2. And God said, take your son, your favored one, Isaac. 3 sections. Now listen to how they reinterpreted it. You ready? And the Lord thought to try Abraham and Isaac in this manner, and he said to Abraham, take your son. And Abraham says, I have 2 sons, and I do not know which of them you command me to take. Your only son, or your favorite son. And Abraham says, the one is the only son of his mother, and the other is the only son of his mother. The one you love. I love this one, and I love that one. And then finally, the word Isaac. The Midrash is often so beautiful because this kind of portrays Abraham's hesitation. Like, what are you talking about? Which son? What are you talking about, God? And God also is playing along and trying to break the news to Abraham very slowly. Instead of take your son and get out of here and go put him as a sacrifice, it takes place in a very gentle dance. If you looked at the Midrash, you will also see that Abraham and Isaac and Sarah are all very, very upset, and Sarah does a cheerful goodbye and wonders whether she'll ever see Isaac ever again. But they continue, and eventually they will come to a mountain, and I'm going to skip real quick. Look at this, and it says on verse 5, okay, on the 4th day, on verse 4, on the 3rd day, Abraham looked up and saw the place from afar. Do you see that verse? Then Abraham said to his servants, you stay here with the ass. The boy and I will go up there. We will worship, and we will return to you. The Midrash is totally different. The Midrash has Abraham saying to his son, what do you see when they get to the mountain? And Isaac describes a place of sacrifice and an altar to God. And Abraham knew that Isaac was special. And he said to the 2 servants, what do you see? And they said, we just see 2 mountains. So he said, you guys stay here. So Isaac comes up with Abraham, and they talk to each other. And Isaac says, Dad, I'm 37, and you're an old man. I know this is hard for you, so let me help you. Totally different way of spinning the service. In the literal translation, Isaac's a victim. In the Midrash, Isaac says, Dad, we both are men of faith. Let me help you. And Isaac builds the altar, And Isaac assists in tying himself up. And he said, let's make it tight because you're going to be so upset. I don't want you to make a mistake because that would just ruin everything for me and for you in the mitzvah. And God goes and speaks to the angels of God, of the Lord, and says, you guys wanted me to destroy man. Look at Abraham. This is an example of a man of faith. You angels told me when I created man that he'd be nothing but trouble and I should wipe him out. But Abraham proves that man can be worthwhile. So Abraham is held up in this idyllic fashion in the Midrash as a man of faith, and Isaac as well. Well, we don't have all the time that I would like, but so let's go and skip to the end. At the very end of the vignette, Isaac is not sacrificed, but an angel of the Lord stops him. And in the Midrash, we have Abraham speaking to God and saying, you really want me to sacrifice him? Don't you remember your promise? You promised to make my descendants as numerous as the stars. And if I kill Isaac, your word will never, ever be trusted. But Abraham was ready to go forward. And then the angel said, Abraham, Abraham, and stopped him. Now, Elie Wiesel loves to comment on this. And he says that maybe it wasn't Abraham that was being tested, it was God. Think about it for a moment. Who's more important, an angel or God? Who? God. So who comes to Abraham and stops him? An angel. From this time forward in the Bible, God never ever speaks to Abraham ever face to face again. He only communicates through angels. So on the one hand, the interpretation is that Abraham should have argued with God and is now being punished. But Elie Wiesel says Abraham wasn't being punished. It was that God was embarrassed. And therefore, God could never show himself to Abraham again. Interesting interpretations. Now we go down to the very end, verse 19, and what does it say? Abraham then returned to his servants, and they departed together for Beersheba, and Abraham stayed in Beersheba. Who's missing? Isaac. And that's the beauty of the Midrash explaining what happened to Isaac. All the rabbis comment on it. The very next Torah portion, though, what happens? Sarah dies. So the rabbis say that when Abraham returned without Isaac, she feared for the worse, that Isaac was dead, and that's why she died. Out of curiosity, how many of you learned a little something tonight? Great. I hope that you will take advantage of some of the adult ed classes here, because the things that you learned in religious school and some of the things you learn on your own without a teacher, a guide, or even a fellow person to study with, the richness of the Torah text can't come to you. And believe me, I only covered 1%. Our group of students on Saturday morning, Rich, how many years have we been studying? I don't know, 20, 25. And every year, when we look at the same passages, do we learn something new? Every year, something new. So I encourage you to take part, no matter what your level. It's never too early, never too late to start, to learn, to be a part. And the tradition says that when two people talk words of Torah, the divine presence appears. So if you say to yourself, I really wish I had a more spiritual life, I now gave you a key to finding that dream and making it a reality. A little study, a little nourishment of the soul. Shabbat Shalom. 586, the Adoration. Let us all rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teit gedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, velo samanu kemishpechot adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kecho hamonam, va'anachnu korim umishtachavim umordim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'nemar v'hayadonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo 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 echad.
Please be seated. Kaddish is found on page 598. We recall with the preciousness of memory the recent deaths of Jack Snyder, Jean Gorlick, Rita Eisenstadt, Edgar Peresman, Marty Sherman, Shirley Thorner, Helene B. Klein, Ron Schaefer. The preciousness of memory, we recall the yahrzeit of Isaac Aloni, Diane Black, Ida Blitz, Sandy Schalfen, Helene Klein, Lorelei Craycraft, Sharon Eaton, Jordan Ehrlich, Sophia Eisner, Nathan Etkin, Ida Friedman, Erwin Gellin, Henry Gauser, Barry Lee Goldberg, Ian Goldstein, Samuel Greenspun, Abraham Haidt, Anna Haytow, Fred Jonas, Jacob Loeb, Benjamin Mattis, Mark Moonen, Hal Ober, Sylvia Ann Postel, Elaine Premack, Flo Premack, Lena Rakoff, Morris Ratner, Dorothy Rugau, Ray Rosen, Sarah C. Schumann, Charlotte Schwartz, Rachel Smith, Milton Tenenbaum, Sidney H. Human, Norman Zoll. If you would like to recall the name of someone who is not mentioned for Kaddish or yahrzeit, please stand and say their name. As we think of all these and others who have touched our hearts, we rise to recite our Kaddish prayer. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'yalmat yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayedachol beit Yisrael, b'agalav izman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam omei omaya, Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekusha b'richu leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiram v'alma v'imru amen Yehi shlomo rabba min shamaya v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru amen O say shalom b'mramav huya say shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, Amen. May be seated. So I want to do a quick little question, a little instant poll. How many of you would be interested, perhaps, either after services or before, once in a while, a little bit of adult ed? Raise your hand. All right. A couple weeks ago, we did a discussion and it was on a hot topic. And what I'm thinking about doing is putting it on my Facebook page every now and again, because sometimes I just don't know when I'm going to have time to prepare, and I'll put it on Facebook. So if you're not my Facebook friend, it won't work for you. All right? So you got to do it that way. If I know that I'm going to do it on Monday, of course, I'd put it on the email. But spread the word. I'm going to just try this from time to time. It's another excuse to look at the Facebook. For example, the topic of what was going on in Oregon, the assisted suicide. Very topical. Not enough time to write a full sermon on it, but definitely a lot of people have been saying, what does Judaism have to say about the topic of assisted suicide? So it could be a hot topic right after services or before, depending upon my time and what's going on. So I didn't see a huge number of hands. Let's try one more time. How many people? A few. All right, so it's enough. I just wanted to give you an idea of what we might have. The other thing I want to see, if you know what's going on in the temple, because so much is going on. What's going on this Sunday? All right, that's a big fundraiser for religious school. What's going on Tuesday? Veterans Day concert at what time? 7:30. It's free, but the donations go to support Jewish war veterans. I don't know. Don't hold me to this, but I understand there's supposed to be hundreds, 400 or 500 people coming Tuesday. It's a big deal. So it's not a little deal, it's a big deal. So if you want to come, you don't have to be Jewish, but support our veterans, support this program. It's going to be an incredible concert. And it's free. Can't beat that. And Cantor, you are going to be in a program right here at Temple. It's in one of our interfaith forums. Yeah, that.
Next Sunday, November 16th, I'll be on a panel, an interfaith panel, discussing sacred garb. So I'll be the one for, obviously, the Jewish sacred garb, our kippot, talitot, things like that. And we'll hear from the other religions and what they have to say about their sacred garb. So we'll have some question and answer and that kind of stuff. It should be fun.
Yeah. You ever wonder why do some people wear turbans or skull caps, which are different than the Jewish skull cap, or undergarments, all that? The forums are really, really interesting. We're also going to be having an interfaith Thanksgiving service. Cantor's been working really hard, and Ricky's been working hard with an interfaith choir. It's going to be great. The Sunday before Thanksgiving at 6:30. So a lot going on in the month of November, which is typically very slow, but not for us. It's going to be great. We have our final song, and then we're going to make our way into the social hall, take a little bit of challah and wine, and together we'll do a community prayer led by Aiden, our bar mitzvah. All right, our final song is Oseh Shalom. Let's all rise and join together. Oseh Shalom.
Oseh Shalom bimromav, Uyaseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom. Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom aleinu.